but I like it.
All right, so we're now going live.
Cool.
So, little secret. I'm also wondering what I'm going to ask you. So we're going to figure that out as we go.
Excellent. We're just gonna have a conversation. It's cool.
Yeah,
It's
that's how it
cool.
goes.
It's
So
cool.
funny story. See if I can even pull it up. Let me see. I started dabbling with Bard today on Google, and the first question I asked it
Oh.
as it didn't keep it to the accounts. Maybe listen, but the first thing I asked it, as any good podcaster does, hey, can you tell me who Charles the Rock Out of Podcasting McFall is? And it found some interesting stuff. It's like, yeah, he's been in
Oh, really?
podcasting for a long time. He's done it, not only having his own show, Rock Got Out of Podcasting, since 2011, which did about 50 episodes. It's not ongoing. But he's like, he's guested on shows like, and they got 3 shows that I had been a guest on that.
Oh.
Then it went on to say that I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina, that I graduated from UNC, which I don't know where I got that from. And that I wrote 2 best-selling podcast books, and it made up titles for them. I was like, "Well, you missed,
Look at
but
you.
you did some fun. I like your reality, Bard. I like that.
You're like, I'm okay with this if I ever want to get, put up my resume, and they can do that as their Google, and then they'd be like, oh wow, he's really impressive. He's written 2 books. My goodness.
I wonder if those are real book
yeah.
titles that somebody else wrote. They sounded like great titles. Like, you know what? I should write those books. Those are good titles. And it went on. It did some great points, like what he's best known for. Is always willing to help. He's passionate about broadcast or podcasting and something like. I don't know if it just inferred a whole lot of stuff, but I like parts of this resume. It was like, yeah, I am.
You're like, oh, I'm okay with it. Yeah, let's fire that up there.
But enough talking about me. This is Behind the Track, and we have, I only know her as Michelle Cass. She keeps trying to tell me some last name BS. I'm like, that's not a thing. I don't know what you're talking about. So, hello everybody to Behind the Track. I'm Charles McFall, the director of digital media track, and this is Michelle, this is your second year volunteering.
This will be my second year volunteering. Yes,
because Dave came.
Yeah. Dave came and I just trailed along that first year, and I was just supporting cast at that point. I was not fully volunteering.
You work for Disney. You're a supporting cast. You know what, Scotty Mo, don't troll me on my own channels here. I'm just saying. Now that's an inside joke played off of his thing. So if you know, you know. But I'm glad to say I've been around long enough to do that, not to troll anybody. And Michelle, you did come along, and you were not just the accoutrement when you were with Dave. You were very, very cool and hanging out. And then he was like, "Hey, next year, can my girlfriend tag in?" And I'm like, "What's this, high school, man? You want to bring your girlfriend to the sausage fest? What's wrong with you, dude?" But no, we're absolutely like, well, you know what? Let's just say to everybody, I will talk to him. And then we talked, and here's what you said off there a little bit. I'll paraphrase what you said. That basically you feel like you're the least techie of the crew, but you pick up on things. So if that's your truth, if that's what you believe, what made you want to volunteer for the digital media track?
Well, I mean, I hate to be like, I'll say the obvious is that I love Dragon Con, and the thought of a free badge was kind of cool. So there's that. But as far as
you know what,
that's the truth. Yeah. But as far as digital media track goes, I've been in podcasting since 2014, end of 2014. So I've been around it. Like, David helps teach me a lot of stuff with everything. And there's times that I'll say David really runs our show, but when he's not here, it goes to me and I run the show when he's out. So, and I pick up on stuff. Like, if you show me once and then let me do it by myself, I'm in. I can do it. I'll remember it. I'm good to go. I don't know. I don't just kind of phase out. I'll pick up on it and I'll keep it, and then I'm good to go. And so I'm not like, I would never went to school or have a major background in it, but I'm a quick learner, and I think that helps me out a lot. So just being involved in podcasts I think that was kind of one of the bigger pluses. Plus, in years past at Dragon Cons, I've gone to panels, for digital media. So it wasn't like it was an unknown track for me at the con. And I had an interest in it. I was like, oh, this would be good because I can possibly learn more information. But then even just the social aspect, as we all know, I mean, hello, our Discord is on fire most days. Like I was like, well, this would be good to reach out and get to know more people that, not all of us can be famous YouTubers or TikTokers. And, there's normal people that just podcast and do shows and do things like that in the world. And this is where I think I get to really kind of reach out and talk to those people. And I always am playing and toying with the idea of doing my own little sideshow and creating a podcast and maybe focus around something with women and talking. But I don't know a lot of people, but now I know lots of women.
There's lots of people and lots of great creative women.
Yes, lots of creative women in podcasting now. And so now I feel like I can reach out to them and go, hey, I'm doing this show. And hey, this week's episode is on blah, blah, blah. Would you have any interest on coming on and talking to me and having me ask you questions and we'll discuss things? So yeah, that's basically, those are the reasons I joined up.
Tyra says, do it.
Tyra is our biggest cheerleader, so that doesn't shock me that I see now that I'm looking at it now. Yeah, she's our cheerleader.
Practically the world's biggest cheerleader.
She is.
Yeah, she could. I had her on Finding the Story season 1, and I just let people talk. Right, we do the stories and whatever. And I go back later, and I recorded the whole first season at once, or before I did anything with it. So I hadn't decided if I'm going to do swearing or not at that point. Decided I was bleeped it out. And even in bleeping out Tyra saying a few words, it's like My Little Pony is on. It's just just like, oh, that's the most amazing little F-bomb I've ever heard. And glitter comes out. It's amazing. It's crazy.
And she's like having her own little unikitty, and she just walks around and she's sassy and she's positive and she'll throw up rainbow colors at you if you let her,
Yeah, no, absolutely. You were talking about being around the track and having come into some of the panels. Did you find the thought of volunteering intimidating at all?
Honestly, no. I mean, maybe like at first, just because it was kind of like, well, I don't really know anybody other than my partner, David. So it was more like as a social, like, oh, I don't really know anybody, but I'm sure, Scott will tell you I gabbed his ear off pretty quick and early. So
all that Scott has said is ask about when she kicked me out of the room because her date had everything handled. And I'm like, why are you sharing Dragon Con hotel room stories, Scott? This is about no, I'm sorry. But y'all did very quickly. You're like, no, we got it. And me and Scott both found ourselves in the hall with coffees going, what the hell do we do now?
You're like, well, it's 9:30 and I don't have anything to do.
Yeah. So you picked it up very fast. Has anything gone wrong on a panel that you were working the room for?
I'm trying to think, because I mean, I really don't have last year to go off of. So other than the fact that it was one of the 7 circles of hell temperature wise in the room, I don't think, well, I take that back. There was one of the podcasts, I can't remember what it was. It was one of the first ones on one of the mornings, and it was myself and I think Kaz were running it. And I went to stream it on StreamYard, and I think I started also streaming to your work account.
Oh, you did. You streamed it through my work channel. It was so awesome. I'm like later on, I'm going, wait, there's me lecturing, there's this, and then there's this panel from Dragon Con.
I was like, I think I'm streaming to his job by accident. That's not great. And then
it was
I think I shut it down after about 10 minutes. I was like, I think I can figure out a way to get out of it without just, my big fear was like, well, what if I accidentally turn off the whole stream across all of them and click the wrong button? I was like, that would be not good. And so I was like, okay, so I can confidently say if I click this button, it's only going to take your work channel off. And then I was like, okay, I'm doing it. Click. And I was like, hey, we're still alive. We win. And Kaz was like, she's like, okay, I'm gonna go relax now. I'm like,
I can imagine both of y'all were sweating buckets and not just from the heat in the room.
We were sweating it a little bit in that moment. And then it was like, oh, it's great. And then we just kind of laid back and relaxed. Because once it's streaming, it's pretty chill. I mean, what is nice though with Twitch is that we are getting more people involved in asking questions. And I know we're trying to devise a good program or system to where people can ask questions and we can get them to the panelists now so that there is more interaction on the channel. But it's a little challenging, and you got to find a rhythm to it and a timing to do it with the panelists because they're trying to get their stuff across.
Well, and this is where I'm going to work with the moderators this year. Conference I just went down to in Florida. It wasn't a great conference. It is a work thing, but it was. But one thing they did well was they had sold live streaming tickets, so they had people at home getting the continuing education and all that other stuff too. And whenever they did Q&A, they'd take a question from the audience and they go to the table and say, "Hey, do we have anybody asking questions in the webinar?" And almost always there was somebody. Then they'd answer it, and then they go back to it. So it's very, if I'm gonna try to help the moderators understand that now that everything's working, we've tested it, we've tried it, we pushed it through COVID, and it got better. It's all good. Now on the streaming, that you and Kaz trying to take it down couldn't ruin it. It was okay. We forgive you. But that's what I want. That comfort. We'll talk about comfort level and trying things. But now it's teaching the moderator, hey, you go down, and if you go to the microphone, go to whoever's at the table, and there'll be a microphone there for you guys to ask the question. And then, of course, you can do stuff like, you click the little button, and it pops up on the screen for the streamers as well. It would be cool in the future. I mean, I always try to baby step technology, because it can go wrong so fast. But I would love an ability just to put a feedback chat screen up for those on the panel. So even if it's just on a moderator, but I'd like it for like a TV down on the floor or something, like in bigger shows where the panels see it and see that, oh, hey, look, I just saw that Tyra said this, and maybe call it out. I don't know. Well, that's just an idea for the future.
No, we were tweaking it right towards the end. I feel like somewhere, maybe it was Saturday, we figured out the whole microphone thing and just have us read the questions out loud. I mean, we threw out some ideas, and we were doing what we could, and I think we're coming up with better solutions each time. And it'll be interesting to see what will happen now that we are going to try, keyword, to stream in the second room.
Yes.
And I think that'll be the plan, and that's what I think. It's awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. But I know a lot also just falls on what the hotel can hook us up with as far as internet goes.
Well, last year, I can't remember if we ordered a power drop. Because I just recycle the tech order every year because we just have backup stuff, whatever. But we need a power drop because we will burn we'll flip our switches real quick if we don't. And I just ran into the hotel guy. I was like, hey, I'm supposed to have a power drop. I didn't have an order. And just really nice. Like, hey, no, I'm here. And no problem. He just came in and dropped it in. And
it was like 20 minutes later, they came in and they hooked the whole thing. And we're like,
cool. And I gave him, I think I ended up giving him a $25 or $50 gift card. I can't remember. Just said, man, thanks, you're awesome. Usually it's Scott, he and I separately, we never actually worked together, oddly enough, but we both come from the professional AV world in Atlanta. And you'd be surprised at what you can get just by nicely talking to somebody that can do this stuff, I've hooked up so many things I knew weren't on the order. I'm like, you're nice. Who cares? It's not hurting. It's not taking away from the hotel or the company. It's not hurting anybody.
Right.
Have at it.
Yeah.
But about your story, something that struck me there, both with what we got into with tweaking and coming up with new systems and this and that, but also that you started it. You realized that possibly it was streaming in places it wasn't supposed to. And you took the leap to click the button, not knowing for 100% sure that it was not going to shut everything down. And what's great about that, and the other thing you said earlier was, you're showing that normal people, regular people, whatever you want to call it, not everybody's a YouTuber, streamer,
right?
It's just regular people. And I was like, that's honestly what digital media is all about. That is the heart of it. Do you think that anybody that's at that tech table just all of a sudden was born with the knowledge just to make it perfect? Do you think that, we all just have to try things? And I cannot tell you how many times, Scott probably can, he's very, very ADD about this, but I can't tell you how many times something's gone wrong that we've tried. It just didn't work out, just from the tech side of things. And it's like, oh, well, we'll try again later. And I ruined a really good, really big podcast recording for Todd Cochran and Rod Greenlee, and whoever the special guest was. And they only had like 2 or 3 people show up live, but they really had a great show. And we just didn't have the audio set up correctly, or had the cables or the tools or whatever it was to make it record well. So it's like just blasted out gain and is unusable. But they understood because they've been around a while. And I say all this to say, they understood because they've I've had microphones melt on me mid-show. I've had hard drives melt. You had the internet go down today, and you're making sure you're getting it back. And it seems like everybody today, because it's easy to flip on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook or TikTok and see people with confidence or great lights, or I'm gonna back this shot out. Look at where Michelle's sitting. Michelle and Dave have a great studio, so it's easy to look at that studio and go, normal person, my ass. You are a streamer. You are a YouTube personality. And I don't know why I did a Southern accent for that.
But it's like, I think, and some people have said that, they're like, oh wow, your studio looks great. I'm like, this is years. This, like, our lights, like we're just normal people, work normal jobs. So it's like we slowly will purchase a thing. And then in 2 years we'll go, hey, we need to upgrade that thing. So we'll, buy the new version of it and sell the old one. And like, you slowly kind of get what you want and what you need over time, but it's not overnight. Like, I didn't just have money falling in my lap, and I don't have sponsors just lavishly sending me wonderful things in the mail.
So many people look at what you've done, or how. Right. Where are you? The question I want to ask you talk about when Dave's not there, you get to run Flickr Effect. How do you feel about that? Are you intimidated? Are you confident? Are you comfortable?
I feel like because it's so infrequent, I'll be like, before he'll like go on a trip or something, like a work trip or whatever, I'll be like, okay, this does this is that. I click there, I click there. Wait, no, I click there. Yes, okay, I click there, do this. Great, okay, yeah. And then so we have 2 on our show. We have 2 people that come in from California, and they join us on our stream. And so my probably biggest fear with it is always like, I just want to make sure I'm actually getting their sound in. Like, that's kind of a key thing. And so, sometimes I forget things and I'll kind of run it through with them once, but usually once I kind of run it through with them, I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. I'm good. Yeah, it's fine. But that's because I like to, like I said, I pick up things pretty quickly, and they usually, for the most part, will stay in my head as long as I do them randomly here and there. Even when my first day at the track, Scott was sitting down and he's like, click here. I'm like, okay, yeah, that looks familiar. Okay, yeah, that looks familiar. Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. Oh, you do that? Okay, cool. And then I did it by myself, and it was like, okay, I'm good. We're good. Everything's great. And he was kind of like, oh, wow, yeah, I guess you are. I'm like, yeah. Thanks, man. I got this.
The biggest thing I want people to take away from everything you're saying is in medicine, we call it pertinent negatives. Something that could be there, should be there, but is not there. There's an absence of fear in everything you're talking about. You're just going, I'll try it. Show me. Sure. I'll work on it. Oh, you didn't say this, but I'm sure it's happened. You're human. Oh, I messed this up. Oh, I'll learn. And so many people is getting better and better and better at the track. But just in life in general, but for years at the track, I would say the majority of the audience that talk to us on panels or talk to me as a director or anything else, we're like, oh, I can never do it. I don't know how y'all do it. I'm just so overwhelmed. And just the thought of being behind a microphone freaks me out. And sure, there are some things that might actually trigger that, but it's that to me, it's the basic steps. You don't think, oh my God, what if I hit the wrong button and nobody ever listens to Flickr Effect ever again? And, now the world ends. You just went, oh, I'll start again. Oh, everything's running. And you push through any kind of I don't knows into that's the thing. The word I don't know, or the phrase I don't know, you fix it easily by learning. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how you change it so easily.
It's having the bravery to ask the questions. It's the bravery to say, I don't know how to do that, but can you teach me how to do that? Okay, cool. And then you get the answer. You're like, oh, is that it? Okay, well that's step by step. Great, I can do this. Like, and even when that time Kaz and I streamed to your work channel, you know, I was kind of like, well, worst case scenario, I do shut down the entire stream. I know how to get it back up and running, and I can probably do it in about 15 to 20 seconds. So if it goes down, it's only going to go down basically as long as it takes me to re-click this stuff. Yeah. And once I do that, I'm like, we're good again. So yeah, I had a feeling. I was like, worst case scenario, it's going to be down for 20 seconds, 25 seconds. There's worse things, you know.
I look forward to the day that there's so many people watching it that they, the littlest thing and they're blowing up messages and whatever, and I'll still ignore it. I'll be like, psh, and things happen. That's why you come here. I'm never going to separate me from those who don't come, because that's why we stream. We want to give people experience, but at the end of the day, tech things happen, and it just is a thing. We're talking about the fear stuff. Tyra says, embrace the fear. Cameras are my fear. And yet she's been doing 2 or 3 different live streams here with the track.
She's done them on here. And then even just last year, there was a couple of panels that she hosted and they were live streaming the whole time. Yeah. And she did a great job, I'm hoping that maybe this year we'll be able to step up our game and get multiple cameras going, and then we can.
We're working on that.
I know it's the goal. Yeah. So I was like, that'd be so great to be able to get a couple more tight shots on people instead of just the wide shot on the table, and actually like get in on the moderator and get in on like maybe their couple of major people, and that will take it to a level. If we get like a stream deck, dude.
Yeah, we've got a couple of stream decks there, and you're right, and we're itching for that. We're going to try to do something along those lines this year. I've always had this vision. I just loved the World Series of Poker, and you have the round table, and then you can look at the cards. But people don't need cards. But I would love to somehow have a round table for the panelists with the cameras, and yet still have the audience be interacted with and not ignored, which I don't know how to do both things, because if you're in the audience in that sense, you're just an observer for the most part, and the interactions in the cameras. At some point we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
We're gonna do holograms. We'll have hologram Twitch people at the microphone asking their question. That'd be cool. We already have asked a VTuber this year, so we're gonna get VTube to upgrade us to holograms next year. And that'll work.
I'm down with it. Let's keep taking it up a notch. We got to keep bringing it every year.
What would you like to see besides the camera thing? I love that you said that, the multiple cameras and taking the shots in the multiple rooms. What would you like to see be a bigger, better, more Dragon Con?
For us, I don't know. I have to say the things that we talked about a lot whenever we had our kind of powwow meetings. I feel like we have really good brainstorming sessions, and I think we're actually doing better this year with taking the brainstorming ideas we had last year, and we're starting to put them in. Like we're going, okay, we need to get a microphone for Q&A, just literally just for that for the stream. Okay, we need, maybe we could toy with making sure we try to stream in the second room, and we're working on there's all the things that I think we've said we want to do. We are actively trying to accomplish this year, and getting even just one more camera in that main room, I think would be amazing. I think it would be a huge game changer for our streaming for the panels. And so it's like just that little stuff. Throw it at me, Charles. Come on.
You've got the best advice so far. I'm wondering, do we really need the high-end cameras like I rent, or can we do it with webcams and different things and do it more feasibly on a manageable? Because my biggest thing is high quality. I want good high quality shots. I want y'all got a great camera, which I'm sure it's Dave, so I'm sure it's probably some kind of DSLR on a tripod or something. And I mean, this is a C920. This isn't even the nice C90. My wife is my daughter starting a podcast thing at the house, and so I took my nicer camera down there for them because the movement on it works really well. But not all cameras capture it right. But this, I still think I look pretty fine. I'm not great. You're great, and somewhere in there is like, do we really need? What do we need, Michelle? What do you think as a normal podcaster? What would make it look the best on the stream?
I don't know. I think as far as the wide shots go of the full table, I think if we found something just our traditional quality or even just what you've got going, I think is fine. I think if we do get another camera, that's the camera that we want it to have a higher quality because we're going to possibly be really getting in on somebody's face.
Like a chest rig and stabilizer from Wicked Kinder.
And we should just have David. David could just walk around the room and we'll just have him hooked up like that.
You know? I love it. Yeah, I'm not opposed to putting a little bit of a stand out in front of the table and up where there's cameras where we can get shots like this for the stream, but it's not blocking the view of the interaction of the people. But look, don't even ask me Wicked Kinder. Well, Wicked Kinder. I will get that NFL Zoom camera that flies through the room. Yeah, trust me. At some point,
that would be sweet. We can totally like NFL it. And oh man,
I'm just telling you that the
that
end
would be cool.
The end result of the 100 years of track directorship that I'm apparently putting in now is going to be NFL is going to come to us going, how do you do your track? Like, we're the best. Don't worry about it.
I mean, if we had that going, we could do the round table thing. And like we could do the round table thing in the smaller room and like really make it like intimate and then we can have the audience going around the round table. So they might be looking at the back of somebody's head, but then they're looking at the rest of everybody else. And
they do Shakespeare around. They do
exactly.
Parts in the middle of an amphitheater in a comedy or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It can be good.
It's all
about room arrangement and camera arrangement.
So the next volunteer slot that we need is the guy who designed and ran the show for Prince on his tour. That's our next volunteer spot. So
yeah. How do we get that dude to come do something, huh?
I mean, it's like by the time we're done, it's just gonna be digital media con. You know, amphitheaters and fireworks and superstars in the round. It's gonna be amazing.
Well, it's like when we look at how many hours of content we have versus basically any other track, we have a lot of content, huge amount of content. Like it's insane. So yeah, we kind of are creeping up as far as what we have to offer for the con for sure. Definitely.
I'm gonna give a brief overview here. And Wicked Kinder, Tyra, remind me when Scott's gonna be on because Scott and I run the back end of all this, and then I'll let you. I just want to know so you can come back and listen to that behind the track or watch this. I've always wondered what y'all's back end look like as a network engineer. It is not anything. It's a soundboard, 2 computers, and very minimal rigging. But I rent the Canon XA 35s, I think, is what I try to get. And I do the SD cabling, but then I have a converter that just HDMI right into an adapter into the computer. We run this thing very bare bones and simplistic, and yet do the best we can to make it look like magic. Because magic is not in the massive technology always. Magic is in what you can do with the technology you have.
Exactly. It's how to make what you have work and tweak it so that it looks like you got more than what you actually have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said okay. It's like I just came out of nowhere. You hit my ADD button and it went just made a noise. There you go.
That's okay. I mean, there's times like I know we'll be doing a show and if we have like a weird technical thing happen, most of the time I can kind of keep going, keep my train of thought, but every now and then it'll make my brain just go completely blank and I'll be like, I have nothing now. I don't know where my thought. Anybody else chime in? I'm good. Thank you. Sorry. Bye. Pass. And I just kind of unfortunately shut down because I'm like, I don't even know where I was. And my little ADD goes, too much other problems happening at the same time, too much interference. And I just kind of go into a shutdown mode. And then later I'm like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Like, it's the weirdest thing.
it's everybody is different, and there's some people who say they can't even look at the chat room. There's all kind of things that hit people. But early on, when I started doing all this, I wanted to have that interaction, but I knew I couldn't just stop and read the chat, because that's what a lot of people were doing when live first came around. And I taught myself how to read it and mostly keep on my thought. So then it became my audience's game to break me. Because whoever typed the thing that interrupted my thought,
who's going to get the thing is going to make him crack.
And that kind of inherently plays into DragonCon. If I'm on a panel, somebody tries to do something to throw me off every once in a while, and it's fun. Before we get into some other stuff, what is your DragonCon origin story? What got you coming to the con?
I hate always saying like, oh, David did it, and David's the one who got me into it, but David's the one who got me into it. You know, like I was always one for conventions and open to them, but I'd never even heard of DragonCon. And he was like, hey, he's like, you know, we're going to this convention. It's just in Atlanta, you know, it's an easy drive, or it's a cheap, quick flight from where we live in Orlando. He's like, you know, you should come to it. And I was like, okay. And so it just was like, it was just one of those things. I was like, well, it is over a 3-day holiday weekend. I've got enough PTO. I could take the Friday off, I think. Okay. Yeah. Let's do this. So, you know,
you're like the human embodiment of why not.
Kind of. Well, and why not? It gets a little more challenging. I've noticed the older I get, but when I was, you know, at that point, I was like just into my 30s, and I was like, yeah, why not? And so I was like, sure, I don't have kids or commitments. Like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I, you know, bought a little cheap airline ticket up, and rode the metro in, and boy, oh boy, I don't think I was mentally prepared for when I got there.
Okay, so you've been going for a few years.
Now I have.
Can anybody be mentally prepared for DragonCon without going to DragonCon?
I don't think it's possible. I really don't. And it's because no matter what you think you have in your head, it's bigger. It's bigger. Like, and this is like David said it on his little one-on-one with you. You know, we've been to Comic-Con before, and Comic-Con in San Diego is like, it's the show. You're going to the show, basically. And the cosplayers that are there, there's a lot happening there. But DragonCon being not so commercialized, you're kind of like, oh, it's not going to be so crazy. There's not, I mean, you know, there's going to be some good cosplay, but mostly it's just random geeks in the Atlanta area showing up. And you get there and you're like, oh wow, there's international people come specifically for this convention, for the cosplay, for the panels, for the socialization. Sometimes it's the only time they ever see people in their like chat groups that they're members of, and this is like their every 2 year we go to Comic-Con because this is how we can all get together and it's our thing. Like, it's so much bigger than whatever you have in your head. It's just always bigger. You're like, the hotels are always busier and bigger than you think they are. And you're like, wait, like I think person says, oh, you know, there's, you know, 5 host hotels, you know? Oh, and you're just thinking kind of basic hotels. And then you realize you're like, oh no, these are all 5 convention size host hotels plus the Outer Rims hotels. Yep. And then you get into America's Mart, and it's like, oh, it's a whole nother lot. It's just so much. It's so much bigger than you ever think.
It is. In all of that, though, it's almost like the TARDIS, right? It's bigger on the inside, but it's the con that you want it to be, period.
Yeah.
You can.
It is what you make it.
Whatever you want it to be. And I don't know if it's unfortunate or not, but I have touched on very few other tracks ever. I honed in on the podcasting track and then just lived there. Right. And I mean, I went and saw some of the big, you know, celebrity panels every once in a while, but but there's cosplay, there's Brit track, there's Skep track, there's animation, not to be confused with also anime. So you have those, you have the puppetry. I mean, you have science, and then you have EFF, which is basically the hackers, right? The Electronic Foundation Frontier or something.
And it's interesting.
Crazy.
Is all the subcategories within a track. And it's like, you know, you get into the cosplay track, and then there's subcategories within the cosplay track, you know, and some of it's it's not just costume making. It's this one's specifically dressmaking for the 1800s. And then this one, and it's like, it's very specific. And there's not 5 people in the room. There's 50 plus people in a room for that panel, and everybody's fighting to get in because they're like, oh my God, this is the thing I've been trying to get. I really want a one-on-one. I have a question. I think they're going to know this answer, and I'm going to get in there. And like, it's a thing. It's a thing. You make the con what you want. If you want to go touch a little bit on this panel, a little this panel, and kind of go all over, cool. If you just want to stay on one track the whole time, cool. If you don't ever step into a panel room the whole time and all you do is just grab a snack and a drink and sit down and watch cosplayers all day, that's cool, man. You do you and do what makes you happy. I think each year I've had different things kind of be the theme of the weekend,
Yeah.
And so, like, the first year was definitely okay, we're gonna do a little panel. I think I only did 3 panels the whole time. Went to every party, saw all the cosplayers, and just really took in the whole thing. Spent like half a day at America's Mart. Yeah. And then the next year it was, okay, I want to do more panels. And then the next year it was, no, I think I want to cosplay and spend my time cosplaying. And I'm not doing panels. I'm cosplaying the whole time. And so every year it's been a little different than the last.
This is an interesting statement. Wicked Kinder says, I used to help a buddy run a TTRPG game. It's been like 10 years since I've been. It's a tough con to take a kid. I would say also it's the con you want it to be there as well. There's so many families that do bring kids. There's a whole kid track now.
Yeah.
That I don't know if it was there then, but it is a different atmosphere. It is a lot. I have taken.
It is.
I hesitate to take any of my kids younger than 12 to it because I'm busy though. I mean, I don't take them now.
You're busy. But
yeah. I before I became the director, I would take them, and you just have to pace it out. And we live local. That's the other thing. We live local. So if we got tired, I knew how to get around town and find something that wasn't con price food and rest for a little while.
Right.
If she's ready to go home, we just went back to the car, went home, my daughter and I. But it can be, yes, a tough place to take a kid, but it also can be one of the easiest places you take a kid, especially with that kid track now. And I think with the advent of the kid track, we all became more kid friendly across the board and helpful and those kind of things. And it's kind of at 10-year ago attendance levels. So, we'd gotten up to about 80, almost 90,000 people in attendance. And this year, I think it's going to be 64,000, something like that.
Yeah. I think it depends on your kid and just kind of how they deal with these kind of situations. But I also think I think it is kid friendly, and I think it's just one of those things like this will be the first year, the very first time, and Dave's gone for years. It's the first year he's taking his kids, and that's because his kids are a little older. He's got an 11 and now an 8-year-old, and there's a couple of us that are around, and we've all gone to Dragon Con. We all know what it's about. We already have our own expectations. We already kind of know what we do want to do and don't want to do. So there's enough of us to kind of trade off the supervision during the weekend. This weekend, like there's gonna be times where Dave and I we're running the track, man. We're doing the thing. But then there's gonna be times where we're gonna switch it, and so it's kind of like. It just depends. And then to try to basically really talk to your kids about like, look, if you have an interest in a thing, if you want, we can go sit in a room. And it's not like going to school. They're just going to talk about the thing that you like. And maybe you'll learn something and maybe not. And if you don't want to do it, we don't have to do that, man. We just walk around with people in costumes all day. Or we can just hang out and snack on snacks in the hotel room. I mean, like you just kind of have to work it a little, I think. But I'm fortunate enough that we have a group of people that we're going to be able to trade supervision of and not have to one parent the whole time taking care of the kids. I think that would get exhausting.
I tell you, one of the things that digital media track is good for is babysitting. I have left my kids. It's like, don't leave this room. And whoever's at the table is like, we got them. And just go do your thing and come back. And because our community, you have to introduce people, right? I say, okay, this is my daughter Crosby, this is my son Oka, whatever. And you introduce it. But once we know, hey, you're somehow associated with Michelle. They come in the room, 3 or 4. Hey, Mikey, you doing all right? Everything good? You need to find where somebody is? Hey, you need anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did your mom know where you are, or your dad, or whoever? Yeah. Well, did I say who you are? Does your mom know who you are? Are you cosplaying as some kid now?
Are you a different child today?
And one of the first years as a director, I brought my son. It's the first year I brought Bosch to Dragon Con. And we had a network, and so we're a little bit more family. Charles never misses an opportunity to pawn off more work on others. But true story is that, I brought my son because he wanted to kind of talk like, look, man, you're probably gonna be stuck in the room most of the time because I got so many panels, I got this, I got that. But we had a network, everybody had gotten to know me through the shows, and so he had a lot of uncles that year. He had Uncle Travis taking him around to the comic book track, he had Uncle Dennis and Phil taking him to the strip clubs, and he was 12. I don't know what they're doing. But the highlight of the whole weekend, my 12-year-old somehow, I don't know who talked who into what, but I'm on a panel, and this is the first year Bosch is there. I'd never, they'd never done live like this. I was like, oh my God, I need to be down there. And my panel ran late, come flying down the escalator, and Brian Dunaway, who was the actual official director at the time, but had let me build the whole show. He stopped me, and I'm like, don't stop me, man. I'm worried about this panel. He's like, no, I'm telling you did a great job, dude. This standing room only. It is the first room we call it locked out. Or we locked out. Standing room only. No more people except for me could get in. And went in and they called me on this and another. It's blazing hot, no air conditioning. The room goes crazy at the end. Nuts. My son comes up to me and Phil's drunk, kissing everybody. They got my 12-year-old somehow. I don't even know what he said, but he did this super hype man intro to their show, got the crowd screaming, and then their drunken debauchery asses came riding on top of his middle school ass and dunked on him. And it was like, and that's a huge memory he has. And that kind of goes back to Wicked Ender put in here. My youngest is 10. I took my older daughter when she was 14 back then. She had me cracking up when she saw the Rocky Horror cosplay. Good fun. She turned out all right. Yeah. And that's the thing is those memories, right? You build. I've got this amazing photo of two actually great photos of my daughter Crosby. She was 11-ish, 12 maybe. And it's somebody doing cosplay of the Green Arrow. And I let her take whoever she wanted. I didn't say, oh, go do this picture. She's, oh, can I go ask them for a picture? So she posed with Green Arrow doing cosplay. And not Stephen Amell, but somebody doing cosplay. And I don't know if they were doing a special thing that year for Labyrinth, but there was a Labyrinth ball. And I don't remember. I don't think it's still there anymore. But there was these amazing couple really dressed up as Jared and I forget the girl's name now, but as the wedding, the wedding scene and amazing. I mean, just amazing costumes. And I got this picture with her and Jared holding the wishing ball and right in front of her, like he's tempting her. It's the memories you get, And I'm excited. I'm sure did Dave he went to Dragon Con before he got you to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He'd gone probably 3 times prior to me.
So I'm sure my first it was time. A different and maybe even better experience that now that y'all are sharing that experience together.
Oh yeah. So we're really loving it, and we're really looking forward to the kids getting in and maybe finding a new interest or expanding upon interests they already have. And we're just looking forward to them. Really, I'm looking forward to seeing their faces, seeing the stuff that we've been talking about for years now. And I'm looking forward to them just being like, hey, those were the aliens from Sesame Street that you say ride the elevators. We saw them right in the elevators. I'm gonna be like, I told you, dude. We would not lie to you. It definitely happens every year.
Yeah. Wicked Ender says, I was shorted up here. It says it takes a village, and the Dragon Con peeps are good villagers, and that's right. It in a nutshell. Bad things do happen, absolutely. Some bad things get in there, but as a whole, and that's statistically, I would say true as a whole. And the 66,000 people are gonna be there. The majority of them, 99% of them, are gonna be great people. Everybody's tired. Everybody's
geeks hanging out, man. Why was a bunch of geeks just taking over the city of Atlanta for a weekend, basically? Geeks are good people. Nerds are good people. We're good.
We're the next year, the new millennium hippies. Peace and love, man. Geeks in love. That's all we are. Geeks in love.
Pretty much.
Do you have because you've seen the panel list that's coming up for this year? Do you have anything you're excited about seeing?
I'll be honest. I glanced at it very shortly the other day because my own personal life has been really busy basically since you dropped it. But I look forward, I think I'm looking forward to the new stuff, but I'm even looking forward to some of the similar panels, but with different panelists on it. And I think that is always interesting because you continue to get kind of the conversation kind of continues and you can get somebody else's new take on something, when it comes to like the book talk or it comes to like some of the feminist talk or the ADHD or, the spicy people panels. Like those are fun because then you get different people's take on different things. And somebody's always going to, if it never fails, somebody's always going to say something and you go, I never thought about that way. Or, oh, wow, that's such a good idea. Like you always, I feel like no matter, even if it's the same theme of a panel, you're still going to get something new. I guarantee you every time that thought is going to pop in your head at least once. You're going to go, oh, never even thought of that. At least once in every panel. And so I think, I don't know. I think for me, it's kind of like I have my little things. Like I like the feminist panels. I like the ADHD panels. But, I know we're trying to also get into a little more like how to do things kind of stuff. I know, gosh, now I feel horrible. Vito kind of likes that kind of stuff. And he likes I'm open to teaching people things or learning more things on my own. And those are kind of cool too. So I don't know. I hate to just be like, I like it all, but I do. I like it all. I like all of it. There's nothing.
That's the beauty of it.
I don't know. And every time I go to panel and I'm like, there was even one last year. Now I can't remember what it was, but I remember we were kind of, I wouldn't say we were short-handed, but it was it's like a time slot that everybody was kind of like, and I was like, it's cool. I'll stay. I'll do it. It's fine. I'm already here. I'll just stay. I was like, I really don't have any interest in this panel based on what I'm reading the title of, but I'll stay. And then we're going, okay, this is kind of cool. And it was really interesting. And I remember having that feeling. I wish I could think of the panel now. I feel like a jerk now I can't think of it, but it was Scott's
audio workshop, wasn't it? I heard it was
yeah. Oh, I think it was going on next door, actually. Maybe everybody went to that. That's why nobody wanted to cover that one. And I was like, I'll stay. It's fine. But yeah, no, it's like, I feel like you're always going to get something out of them. Honestly, you never know what you're going to get, but you're going to get something.
So many people have said that, including myself. I've run many a room or wait, you know what? I'm tired. There's nothing else I really want to go to. I'm just going to grab a sandwich and sit in the back of the room. And every single time I go, good panel. That was worth being here. The ones that aren't worth being here take themselves out very quickly. And it's very self-evident and they don't really show up anymore, as far as like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. And it's just, it is what it is. Do you have a question for me about the track?
Oh gosh. Do I have a question for you about the track? I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if I have a question about the track. I think it's more on one side. I'm really glad that we have you and Tyra there to be our cheerleaders for our own personal development and growth, and I feel like last year I kind of was like, maybe I could throw a panel together. I don't know. And I kind of had that little earworm in my brain kind of going, maybe you could. And I would be surprised if after the end of this con, I don't come to you and go, Charles, I got an idea for a panel and I'll be pitching it to you in the spring on a thing. And I'm going to do it. And I have a feeling that's probably what's going to happen by the time I'm done volunteering this season. So, and obviously it's true because if I'm already thinking it and saying it out loud, you can probably put money on it that because of the work I've done with you on this track and Scott and Tyra, like with you guys, and starting to meet some of the panelists and really get to know people in this industry, I have a feeling look at Vito. He did it last year. He did his own ran, like came up with it and then was the monitor for it, right? Like,
yep.
Yeah. Like, it's just one of those weird things. Like it'll get into you. And I have a feeling I'm probably going to wind up doing a panel for 2024. Yeah.
You can
What it'll
only
be, I don't
hold
know,
out
but
so long. It'll be
you
great.
really can. You really can only
Yeah.
hold out for so long with people like you and Tyra, and they're going, just do it. I'll help you. Let's get this done. Like you're disgustingly positive and you're cheerleaders, and you guys, you love getting the fire in people, and it's kind of disgustingly awesome at the same time. So
Disgustingly awesome.
because it makes
That's
you go,
gonna be Tyra's
oh,
new
yes,
tattoo.
I'm doing it. Okay.
We universally, when I say we, the track, we have birthed so many different creators and shows, and even before I came along. I mean, Tom Merritt tells the story of he wrote a very popular comic book, 10 State, I think it was called. And he and an artist came up with the idea sitting at the bar at Dragon Con having a drink. And those kind of things happen all the time. Scott Sigler, and I've been trying to reach out to see if Sigler will come back this year, but until he got super busy, he came to the con because at the con was where he had made so many different contacts and got inspirations for the books that he wrote. And now he's a best-selling, world famous author, and we're gonna get him back at some point soon.
I think I do have a question for you.
Okay.
And this has really nothing major to do about what we've been talking about. But so my question for you would be, do you think that the team that you really kind of cultured, the culture that we've created with our volunteer team, do you feel comfortable enough that, because even last year you're saying you're like, I had more time on your hands this last year than you knew what to do with. Do you think you are going to see yourself stepping away more, and maybe you could take your kids again and actually get to go to panels with them and stuff for fun, not because you're running it? It's hard to let go, isn't it?
It totally is. But, well, because there's the magic in what we do, and there's something about. So the magic of the track is I do nothing and everything all at once. It is, I don't go look for anybody. I just open the doors and just have my whole intent every year is put on a good show. Put on a good show. Bring the magic, touch people's lives. And then through those lenses, I just read every submission, run into people, and the community has bought into that, and it stirred it up to where it did peak out last year to where I was like, maybe I can do more. I'm excited this year that my wife's coming, and then we'll see. I know my daughter's going to want to come this year. I'm like, we'll see. Because it is a lot. I mean, when you're involved in it, when you're involved directly in it, it's a different ball game. And talking about the magic is, even when I had not much to do, the reason I don't go see other panels or do other things is because I just don't want to. There's just an energy. There's just something to see the show. It's almost like being in a live birth, right? I've birthed all four of my kids, paramedic, all that jazz. And it's just like just being a part of that experience, even though I'm not on the stage. Maybe I'm not even in the room in the audience, but the vibes of everybody coming out of the rooms, and you feel, I just like being around that all the time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel that way when you walk into any other room for me. You've
worked to create the culture that's around our track, and that those people we've worked together to grow together. So it's something you're working to actively grow and keep continuing on. I can't really talk anymore. I'm losing my words. But now I get what you're saying.
Yeah, Tyrus, people step up in our track, and that is true. And that from the get-go, I don't know what it was, but the first year I ever went, I was drawn to go to the last panel, which was they labeled it as this feedback panel. And my whole thing was two things. Like, one, this is really, I'm going to say it, Tyra. Tyra gave me permission to say one S word. This is a really shitty setup here. Can you not get better equipment? It's Dragon Con, for Christ's sake. And I found out stuff about this. Like, oh no, I have equipment. I'll bring it to you. I don't care. And then the second thing was, there's got to be a way this community can self-perpetuate, and that has been the goal and it just was a moment, and we're like, I mean, I said it, but it wasn't like I was a genius. It just came to me. It's like, and that's been my goal all along. And it's weird that it happened. It is. It's just weird that now we own 2 rooms that are completely full. We have all kind of volunteers that I mean, you and Kaz have both said, I think you're fighting to own the title of least techie on the team, which is not really a title you're trying to aspire to. But both of you were just like, yeah, but we're here. What can we do? How can we help?
Yeah.
And it's just that flow. So would I step away? I mean, I'll tell you, last year, 2 years ago, I said, I was looking for my replacement because we're at the 5-year mark and I had kind of a 10-year plan. But seeing something like last year and having people step up, even more this year with Stephanie Cagnola helping out with a lot of the programming, like organizing it for me so I can really see it, and as Kaz organizing. So Kaz and Stephanie were kind of team. She grabbed the input and put it on the board. I arranged stuff, and Stephanie took it off the board, put it in a form that I could share with everybody. And, Tyra, being the queen of social media that she is, has really been stepping up our graphics game. And it's just, I don't know that I want to, even if I want, I don't think I need a replacement now because I can now see through things I've learned over the last couple of years, also being a COO of my company, that I can build a thing that can run, that still needs me. I still want to be a part of it. I can still be valuable and plug in and have a lot to give, but I don't have to be there. It falls apart. Would I go to another? Yeah. You know what? I would probably let my youngest set, 'cause my oldest set have gone to Dragon Con once or twice and some other conventions. I'd probably let my youngest set come and, like you said, give them a couple hours. Okay, you got this block of time that I'm going to be cool. Let's go do stuff. And you get to pick out what do you want to go see and do.
Right.
My biggest thing is another reason I stick around the track as much as I do, it feeds me energy because I use a lot of energy, but I just don't stop. Once I get up, I go until the night's done. And I don't expect anybody to keep up with me. And so then in my mind, I'm like, well, I have to have somebody making sure that when my daughter runs out of energy, she can get sleep, get food, get rest, get cooled out of chaos. And I thrive on chaos. So that's not me. And I don't know, maybe in a couple of years, my wife will get the bug and just come, but bring the kids. Because I wouldn't mind doing 1 or 2 things with them. But I'd be sitting there in the panel going, can I change that stupid banner? Could I turn these mics up? But hey, morons, put a monitor on the stage. These are real thoughts I've had in other panels. Like, put a monitor on the stage so the celebrity can hear the damn question.
Yeah.
And so it also bugs me to go into other panels for that reason.
You're thinking of all the things you would do to fix it all. Yeah. No, I get that, man. I get that. I'm like that in everywhere I go, basically. But yeah.
That's one of the other t-shirts I've always said I should have is I executive produce life. I just solve problems. I see I can do it better here. Let me show you something. I see where you're trying to do, Michelle. Let me help you out. What if you put a little light over here? Boom. And it's just it's not magic, but it seems like magic. And,
right. You could see where there's improvements could be made in places in everyday life. Yeah.
So speaking of improvements, I want to hear from you because unlike Scott, you don't mind sharing your thoughts apparently. So I just jab at Scott every chance I get because he's like, I'm not gonna do this. All right, now let me take over. Like, come on, buddy. You know you're gonna do this. We got this. It is a busy year, right? It is a busy year. Both. We have 2 rooms running at almost all times, and we have a couple of big rooms running. And typically, I'm done with my programming pretty much now, unless somebody cancels out. I've got a couple on standby that will punch in. I'm sure there's one panel they submitted so late, and I really want to put it on there, but I'm trying to work that one out maybe. But other than that, we're pretty much done. We're just tweaking, getting guests, all that stuff. At the end of June, I don't get to tweak anymore. But typically, something happens between July 1st and the beginning of the con that 2 or 3 more panels magically appear, and usually they're big ones. It's like, I don't know what's a big celebrity. Ron Funches decided he wanted to come. Can you give him a live show? Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
We have to have one person from our track over there just to do the announcements and whatever. Because it's like, Hal and can't remember house partner, Night Vale. Welcome to Night Vale. That's them traditionally. If they come, I get word in like August. Hey, welcome to Night Vale. There to come. Here's some panels. Can you work it in? It's like, just give me the big rooms. Just give me the big, and that's where Regina and I work together. And she always says the same thing I do. She holds back space for those last minute things.
Yeah, we have to.
So
we're popular. What can we say?
It's a good thing. I'm looking forward to the panel that you're going to suggest. and you will get it, and you will moderate it, and it'll be great.
Probably. Yeah.
Because that's the Tyra. I don't feel like I did this to Tyra. I feel like she would identify with this. I am very good at pushing you, kicking and screaming onto the stage and telling you got it. And then we're live. Let's go.
Yeah.
I've had more than one person submit a panel like, all right, cool, you got it. You're moderating it. No, that's just suggestions. Like, that's not how this works. You drive the car that you brought to the party. So get your butt in the seat and let's go. I'll help you out. Here's some people. Trust me, you're gonna be fine. And it was fun. And she's no, see, this is not truth, Tyra. See, people lie to themselves all the time, Michelle. It's truth. He's the reason I can moderate now. No, I'm the reason you do moderate now. You could moderate, which is why I kicked you in the butt and put you on the stage.
You've always had the capability. You just haven't had somebody to shove you up and do it. That's all.
Look, I'm the ooze to your Ninja Turtles, everybody. Come on.
Yeah.
We'll make this happen. But I love this one that a friend of mine showed up one of the first years. I can't remember if I just built the panel or if I was shadow directing or what was going on. But see, that is something I know I bring to the table. I know content. I know people. I know connection. I can see a storyboard, if you will, a bigger picture. And Jeff came in from the MCU cast and was like, hey, man, we lost a panelist. Why don't you come sit up at the stage? Like, I won't have anything to say. And I'm like, and I just started the network, and they were one of the first shows I'd signed on the network. And this one, I was like, yeah, as your boss, I'm telling you, get your butt on the stage, which was a joke because we all know that's not how the network worked. Because right. Fine, boss, fine. And sure enough, halfway through is all about doing podcasts about TV shows and that kind of pop culture references and stuff. And somebody got up in the microphone and went, okay, so pretty much all of you do stuff based on TV shows or movies. What do you do when the show's not on the air anymore or when they take big breaks or whatever? And everyone went, I got nothing, and got down to, and he was the only one that had the answer and had and brought something. It's like, I'm not clairvoyant. I just know what the fuck I'm doing. So get on the stage and do it. Trust me. Holistic. Yep. What was that detective agency? The Dirk Gently. Such a great show. But I was like, nope, this is the Dirk Gently holistic Dragon Con digital media track. It just shit happens and it works beautifully.
We roll with it.
Anything else you would like to share about being on the track?
No. I mean, I would encourage us to, because I feel like we're growing more and more and more. We're going to wind up needing more volunteers in years to come. I don't think it's even because we're going to have volunteers really phase out. I think we're just going to need more because there's always, all of a sudden, it's like, man, we really need to get somebody on the door, and it's, oh man, somebody needs to go pass the message for the people to get more water in. We forgot to do that during the room switch, and it's like the little volunteers that aren't volunteers, but they're volunteers. And it's like, I want to keep encouraging that environment where people feel comfortable enough in our community that, as people in the room, you can go, hey, I got a favor to ask you. I got to make sure this thing's ready to go, but can you go tell Charles a message, or can you go let Scott know he's next door? Can you just give him this paper and be like, on the sly? And I love like that we have that kind of community that grows, and I want to kind of keep that growth going and that comfortable, like we're all in this together, we're all in this, that's us, I think. And I think we all make it work together really well.
I hear that. Support each other. Thank you so much. That's one of the real rules of the track is do not come up and ask if we need something, because we will tell you to do something. And please don't take your implied, but we will put you to work, and it happens sometimes. And the trick though, the flip side of that is when you see a big long line and you can't get into the room, but you have been a part of the track, you have done things, and you have chipped in. Sean Weiland, I forget what the panel was, but I was sitting on the door, which I tend to do more towards the night when the bigger panels happen. And just because it gives me a good advantage of seeing the audience and everything, but not having to work the room. I just like it. And he stuck his head. He's like, hey man, I really wanted to see the panels. Like, look, we're packed. However, if you'll stand in that corner right there and tell me how many seats are available, people are going to keep coming in for that. He's done. And in the whole hour, he stood there and he got to enjoy the panel he couldn't get into, but he did the work to pay for that minutes.
Right.
And,
he was able to go, oh yeah, there's one, somebody just left. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And
it's helpful. It's helpful.
Was, one of those shoes we flipped through.
And we definitely did that a few times. We definitely did that a few times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, you give value to the track, it gives back, you know.
For sure.
It's gonna be good. I did ask if we could put a TV out in the line so people could actually watch the broadcast, and they said no because we'd block the flow of traffic. So I was like, well, that's a good and bad problem.
Yeah, we have. I mean, on the upside, the escalator does let down right in front of our door, but on the downside, the escalator does let down right in front of our door. So yeah, I get that. It's kind of a bummer, but I get it.
Yeah. What would you like to promote as we wrap up?
What would I like to promote? Really, I think just now self-promotion of the podcast that I'm on with David. It's called Flicker Effect. We mostly talk movies, but we talk really anything pop culture-y. We talk comics, we talk TV, we talk news, anything going on in Hollywood, but not in a gossipy way. Like, we're definitely not like, oh, did you hear something? We're more of the like, oh, hey, did you see the producer left and they're bringing in so-and-so? It's going to be interesting, you know? Yeah. And we just kind of roll with that. And we're a little more like, I think on the bat, we like talking about like the inner workings of Hollywood a little more that way, not in a gossipy way. But when it comes to movies, like we see a lot of movies. We see a lot of movies. We talk a lot of movies. David and I just saw The Flash last night.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, we're ready to talk about that. But yeah, Flicker Effect. We're on everything. We're on YouTube. We're on we're on everything. We're on like all the podcasts everywhere. Like name it, search it, it's there. Flicker Effect. That's us.
Well, I know I cannot go to you for season 3.
Ted
Lasso, because you know you're too busy camping to watch it, and then you're going to San Diego Comic-Con. So I might have listened to a few episodes. I'm just saying,
yeah,
it's a good show.
We're planning to binge it. Ted Lasso. I think David and I are going to binge it here in the next week and finish up this last season. But we have to be ready. We're going to Comic-Con in a few weeks. So, and that's, like I said, that's like going to the big show, man. That weekend is awesome and exhausting. It's kind of like Dragon Con, but it's not. I don't know.
It's its own thing.
It is its own beast, but we love doing it. When we get the opportunity to go to that one, we go. And
I wanted to go for a long time, and then realized maybe not, because my first geek pop culture sci-fi convention was Dragon Con. So it pretty much sets a really, really strong bar, you know, for where you go. But I've decided now with what I do, I don't think attending Comic-Con would be bad, San Diego Comic-Con, but I think moderating would be beautiful. I'd love to take Finding the Stories to San Diego Comic-Con and moderate anybody. I'll talk to any panelist, you would help you with the movie stuff, whatever. I just want to get up there and do what I do in my brand of moderating there. And that would be fun. But let me hammer home. And look, even Scott is the one putting your link out there. So there you go.
Thanks, Scott.
Season 2 of Finding the Stories is in the mix. Imaginary Nomad. I've got Mike Woodard working on it right now, which has actually 3 when I say standard, I mean how I arranged the interview, did the interview thing with one-on-one like we did here. Then it has 3 of those. It has 3 celebrity interviews that were done at a convention, and they gave me permission to record. It was a Q&A where I was moderating, so it wasn't quite like the one-on-one interview, but I still always bring that there. So that season's being worked on. But coming back, Flicker Effect. I know you heard me yell at Dave about, we just do YouTube. Like, you do realize you can hit a button that says MP3 and just, So I very much appreciate knowing that you guys are going to San Diego Comic-Con and not cut up on Ted Lasso, and that he was thinking about maybe being cut off from social media while he's camping, but maybe going into town and downloading the hour and a half long finale of Secession.
And he did.
That's all I'm saying is it's a good show. It's fun. When you're not on it, Michelle, it's not as good. So it's really fun. And I'll tell everybody, go back and listen to the top picks for 2022 of your top 10 movies.
Yeah, that's our big one we do every year. Is our top from the year prior. We do it in January, and we just basically we each get to do it. And every year we tweak that show and we try to make it a little more efficient, but we all get so excited about movies. And so that's a great show to always listen to anytime. If you're ever like, what movie should I watch? Go listen to one of our top 10s of a year. Those are great episodes. We have all this catalog.
You and Dave got me interested in one that also, I don't know if I'm interested in it, is your number 10. I want to say, because you're like, it's an artsy film, but I cannot remember what it was now.
Was it The Northman? Oh, what was it?
No, it wasn't that one. I don't remember. But you were surprised. It was like Dave's number 6 or something like that. But it was the way y'all described it, and you can't talk about it because you don't want to give away anything, but it's this and that and that. And like, it sounds great, but also I don't know at the same time. So that's
Triangle of Sadness.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah, you can't talk about it because
but that scene on the deck with okay, now I kind of want to watch it. But then Michelle goes, but it's not really for everybody. I don't know if you want to watch. And I don't know, Michelle.
It's a good show. It's a great movie. It's a great film, but I can see that it is not for everyone. I mean, and you just got to watch it, and I'm sure there's people that start that movie and halfway through they go, nope, and they turn it off. And I get that.
Everybody, if you want to be a part, we've talked about the Discord. We've talked about being part of the family here. tinyurl.com/digital media track. That's capital D, M, and T, the first letters of each word. tinyurl.com/digital media track. That is to our Discord, and it's open for anybody to come in. Number one rule of Dragon Cons, number one rule of our Discord, don't be an asshole. And that's how they phrase it. There's very little swearing that goes on before 10 p.m. at Dragon Con. But that's on their website. Don't be an asshole.
Mm-hmm. It's a good motto to live by, honestly. Really, I mean, really.
I mean, might as well say don't be Phil Keating, but we can't be that specific. If you're watching this on another channel or listening on a podcast, it's twitch.tv/DC Digital Media for our main streaming channel. There is another one now that will be going live for Galleria 7 as long as everything works out right. That's twitch.tv/DC Digital Media 2, because I try to keep it simple. So we're going to stream both rooms, and then everything will go on YouTube after the fact and all that stuff. And I'm going to talk about my wife and daughter's new project they're working on coming out. And it is a true queen. And as you may know, in this world, there's a lot of crap going on with drag queens, and especially in Texas, where they're banning weirdness, and Florida's making weird laws that inadvertently somehow they're trying to get rid of drag queens, and oh my God, they're going to ruin the kids, and then yet their law somehow affects Hooters and everybody else too. So it's like, just stop. But my daughter, who is 10, for her birthday, really wanted to meet some drag queens and go. And my wife, I wasn't able to go that night with her, but they went to this Wednesday night place at Park Tavern in Atlanta, and it's called Wednesday Nights of Drag, and met Aspen York and some others. And they've been going, and I go when I can, but we've been going most weeks since, and it's just a beautiful community. So they being my daughter and my wife are starting an interview show where they're going to interview drag queens and ask them like 20 questions about their life and everything. And my daughter is very excited about it. So I'm working on the first episode of that. So that'll be out soon. You see the social medias are out there, A True Queen. And it's really just about, we're all human. And
that's going to be great.
So next week on the open mic night is June 20th is Rob Roberts. Topic is LGBT. I can read, I promise. LGBTQ plus. And Rob is on season 2 of Finding the Stories as well, on somewhat of a controversial show because we were right in the height of Black Lives Matter, and actually I think COVID at the same time. I don't remember. It was a tough time, and everybody was a little saturated, and we're getting some interesting talks there. But that is coming out, and Cause will be on the next Behind the Track on June 27th. And I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to having a Cause on, and want to give a shout out to my wife because I came home and went, "Hey, babe, you want to go to a movie?" And she started looking at time. She's like, "Wait a minute. According to your social media, you have an interview tonight." I went, "Yeah, I sure do. In about an hour. I guess we're not going to the movies now." So
never mind.
Thanks to her and Tyra and Gwen for getting the social media out, and for my wife to stalk me so that I got reminded that I needed to be here. So, I don't know how to end this thing other than come to Dragon Con. You know what? That's a banner I should put up when Dragon Con is. But if I remember right, it's August. Well, okay. Speaking of drag shows at Park Tavern, Digital Media Track needs your help getting the word out. We're going to do our first ever party. And it is going to be Wednesday night as everybody comes in. So that's August 30th is Wednesday night, right before the con officially starts, which is Thursday now. The con officially starts on Thursday evening. And we're doing Wednesdays are a Dragon Con. And so we're going to have the drag show. We're going to have a cosplay contest that will be judged by some of the queens. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to tie in with the charity. So I'm working with Jody over there for the charity. And we're tying to that. So we're going to have our first ever digital media party, and it's going to be at Park Tavern we're working out the full details, but I believe it's going to be 8 p.m. from 8 p.m. to they close at 11 there. And that's only it's a couple blocks away from Dragon Con, so you may want to Uber over there and ride share. But if you're in town on Wednesday nights, we're getting flyers made. We're going to get all that.
That's going to be a good time.
That's going to be awesome. So make sure you like and subscribe to this channel here on twitch.tv/DC Digital Media so that you can catch Rob next week and me and Kaz the week after, and the great Tyra Burton sometime after that. Michelle, thank you for being a volunteer and being on the track. And if something ever goes wrong with you and Dave, I mean, he's a photographer. I gotta go with Dave, but we'd love to have you back sometime once you patch up with him and get right. It'll be okay. Thanks for coming in, Michelle. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Charles. Have a good one.